following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hi, welcome everybody. My name is Leo Connors. I'm the host of Ringing All of the Sports, and tonight I have a very special guest, a good friend of mine, Bob McCarthy, the director and producer of the award-winning Bob Show.
If you're gonna get it right, bro, let me tell you something right now. If you're gonna get it right, we're gonna get it right. It is the executive producer, the director, the writer, the two-time World Heavyweight Champion, the 2009 LTC Producer of the Year, the 2006 LTC Spirit of the Year Award, the recipient of the CTI Local Hero Award, the three-time Brockton Pizza Eating World Heavyweight Champion. Am I getting that right? The Dean of Mean, the baddest there has ever been seen. I always play dirty, I never play clean. I get all the fine ladies and make all the damn green. And I'm making my name and my claim to fame as the baddest there is in the wrestling game.
Nice. Well, Bob, listen, I'd like to talk a little bit first about the Bob Show.
Yeah.
How did that get started? How did you decide on doing something, a sketch comedy show?
I'm gonna drink the water here.
Yeah, for the working man?
Cheers.
Cheers for the
here
working
we go.
man.
Happy New Year. You're not the first guy that asked me that. Basically, make a long story short, I've been doing so much productions at LTC, Lowell Cable Access there, and I was doing all different television shows. I did Total Access Wrestling, which you were on when I started. That was my first television show. And then I hosted a weekly show called Live from Lowell, which we had music acts come in every Tuesday night. We went live on the internet. So I was doing that as like an MTV, hey, everybody, introduce the band, interview the band. And then we started doing a show called Local Laughs, where we had stand-up comedians, and I would be the MC and do the shows. And while I was doing commercials for Local Laughs, I started making it funny and comical. And the feedback was like, wow, that was funny, that's great, and more of that was going on. And as more as those shows closed down, I said, let me try comedy, let me try something different. And it's a lot like wrestling, a little bit in a way with the writing and the characters and everything, but I was always been a funny guy, comedy was always there. I put an ad out for a bunch of actors, we came in the studio, the taping came out great, and just been on a roll ever since, won some awards because of it, got a whole bunch of actors, and it's just been on a, ever since,
Nice, that's good. I'm so happy for your success. Me and you have been friends for over 10 years.
Yeah,
maybe 20, a little longer.
20, gotta be, yeah.
You used to come to some of the catering jobs I used to do
Yes,
for Ring of Honor
yeah.
back in the day. Some really good times.
Jersey All Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
They came to the two shows in Mass. I came to both of them shows.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so a little bit more about the Bob Show. So you got a lot of different actors and stuff. Has anybody that's worked with you gone on to maybe being in plays or anything like that?
No, I try to keep them down. I try to get guys that are not going to be... You're looking at it right here. You're looking at the main event. Put a close-up on this. Why would they be bigger than me? Why would they ascend to the levels of which I am already at? This is why it's called the Bob Show. So I can keep you down and bring me up. No, but basically, there's a lot of great actors, and what they do is they go on to become SAG actors.
Okay.
A great guy of mine, Chuck Slavin, people like that, Bo Douglas, and SAG is what they get, for the paying gigs, and they become part of the union and stuff like that. Bo Douglas, actually a pro wrestler. Well, you know Bo. I'm talking to Bo. He was in Mall Cop 3. He was a police officer. He had a quick little role. I think Chuck was in that too. Chuck Slavin, who was on the Bob Show. So both of them have done a show on my show. But I mean, it's so hard to be an actor in New England. You know that. You have to go to shows and shows. It's just like being a musician or a stand-up comedian. You're going to do so much work with so many people just to get that little 5 seconds time. And it's all about networking. It's not who you know, it's what you know. Well, I'm sorry, I just messed that up. It's who you know, not what you know, because you can be an idiot, but you can be related to a Wahlberg. I mean, and then you're on Wahlburgers, eating cheeseburgers with Mark Wahlberg and the Funky Bunch, you know what I mean? So, I mean, it can be, but no, it's nobody. I've been doing this show, this is 8 years, it's going to be 9 years this April. So a lot of those guys have gone in the SAG, bigger things, but they're not on television now. I think they would tell me, or they wouldn't return my phone call. So once somebody stops returning my phone call, they'll probably make it.
Right.
I'll know.
Well, you answered my next question was, how long have you been doing the show? So 8 to 9 years.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
This is gonna be 9 years.
Nice.
April 7th. Yeah.
Now, we brought up how you had you also did Total Access Wrestling.
Yeah.
Now, when did that start? Exactly.
1999.
Wow.
1999. I'm from Billerica. And, when I was in school like that, there wasn't a lot of people talking about wrestling and stuff. I feel like I was the only one watching primetime wrestling on Monday night. then the Nitro and stuff was going on. I talked to one kid about it. So I figured, man, if I join Berkeley Access, I mean, everybody knows me. It's a small town. It's like Mayberry, RFD, And if the show sucked, so when I came to Lowell, I looked around and I'm like, well, man, nobody knows me here, I mean, if the show sucks, then I'll just stop doing it. But it was the opposite. It went straight to the roof. My first big interviews with George the Animal Steele. No one has ever heard him talk on camera. He did a show in Andover, at some comedy show in Andover, Mass. And it was awesome. It was George talking word for word, and he just did a Q&A before that. He was telling us about he was a teacher and a football coach, and I learned so much. And one of the great stories of that we have to put on the Ring and All of the Sports, George was a teacher and a football coach in Michigan, and then he would wrestle, I think under a mask as the spoiler, the teacher, some of a stupid name.
I think it was.
Something like that, right?
Yeah.
In a different state. And then I think he started becoming George Steele, animal like that. None of the people in his school knew what he did or what he moonlighted because the television in his Michigan was not airing his wrestling.
Right.
Then they found out, and he goes, you know how I knew what they found out? And he goes, how? He goes, one day I went up on the football field there, and all the football kids, they're all standing up. They got their uniform on and like that, and they got their helmets on. And all of them at the same time took their helmets off, and they all had green tongues. Wow. And he just sit there and he no-sold it. That's a pretty powerful way to find out that they know that you know that you're George the Animal Steele, So, and then I got to interview Kamala. He never got to talk on camera. That was the first big-time pro wrestling show in 2007. Yeah, one of my favorites.
Mine too.
But that segues to a good story. So I emailed Kamala ahead of time. I said, dude, and I was the great Zambuki, as you remember.
Yes, I remember that.
So I was the great Zambuki, and I was hitting my head instead of my stomach, and I'm a big Kamala fan because it's method acting.
Right.
I mean, he's from Mississippi.
Yeah.
But he came out like this jungle warrior. I said, that's great acting.
Yeah.
He made you made you believe he was from the Ugandan Giants of Kamala.
He did.
From Uganda, the Ugandan Giants. So he was cool with me. He said, do the interview. I said, hey, how you doing, James? It's good to meet you. I emailed, yeah, Bob, no problem. I'll do the interview, for you. And he said, hey, can you fill up this glass of water for me? I'm going to put my makeup on. I said, sure, okay. So he gave me the glass of water, gave me the glass. I went in the bathroom and I'm putting the water in. And then I said, the door opened. And it was the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. He's like, woo, you don't want to go in there. Yeah, it was like straight out of a movie.
Wow.
And that's what he said. I go, hey, man, what's up? And, I didn't shake his hand or anything, but I got the water. And then I got to talk to him after. But, I mean, it was just, that's how I got to meet the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. He was putting over him going himself in the bathroom. So it was, and then Kamala, and it was really cool. So, but there's so many experiences, man. We're talking 16 years, Leo. Wow. 16 years of television that I've been doing. 16 years of interviews. 16 years in front of the camera. 16 years in wrestling. America, America,
Now,
God shared his grace on thee,
Right? I got to say, I know you're a big Hulkamaniac growing up as a kid. So was that your favorite I know you interviewed Hulk up was it in Tewksbury?
Yeah, Tewksbury, yeah.
And I remember that, and I remember how excited you were about that.
Yeah.
Was that your favorite interview just because he was like your favorite
Well, you got to
wrestler?
understand, he is the measuring stick.
Right.
So he's the one, I think we're all Hulkamaniacs, and you can't be any more big of a Hulkamaniac than, and I interviewed all these guys in 16 years, and Hogan is the top of the ladder. Hogan, and then there's Flair, and then there's everybody else. He is the measuring stick. So I was so nervous all day, man. It was we knew that we were going to get it. We didn't know, pins and needles. There was a great thing that we actually had, Brutus's ex-wife, Bobby, was there. That was going to be our plan B. You know what I mean? And I want to thank Eric Hansen of Dark Tower Entertainment for putting that together. And he was our plan B. We'll get Barbie. If this guy doesn't say no, because Barbie knew that we employed Brutus when we did our events, did like beer pong and stuff like that. So they knew us that we had Brutus like for 8 years. Right. We were doing shows at Brutus. So that was our plan B, but we did it, man. And I did the intro, and he stopped the tape, and he said, he goes, I can't do a wrestling show. I go, no, this is not a wrestling show. It's called New England Now. And he goes, no, I can't. He goes, you understand? He goes, come over here. And I did the intro a second time. He stopped me, come over here. And we got it on tape. He goes, I can't do a wrestling show. We're like, this is not a wrestling. He goes, when you did that introduction, you have the best announcer's voice I ever heard. Hulk Hogan is saying that.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Hulk Hogan, he's been interviewed by everybody for 40 years, and I'm the best. Right. I'm number one. I'm Ichiban. Yeah, well, that's what he said. And then when I interviewed him, he goes, you're like Mean Gene times 10.
Wow.
Now you get the voice, brother. When are we going to get you in the gym? So it was dream come true.
That is awesome.
You know, so
I do remember you saying that how he told you that, and I was very happy for you.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was to meet your idol.
Yeah.
To meet your idol and to have that experience. I mean, it could have been any other way. It could have been the complete opposite.
Right.
He said you're the best.
Right.
So that's a testament of 16 years of me getting every guy in between, the New Age Outlaws, the Captain Lou Albanos, the Greg Valentines, the Brutus Beefcakes, all those guys to get me to Hogan.
Wow,
to get to Hulkamania. So Hulk, if you're watching, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I almost forgot about the Dark Side Entertainment things you used to do with Eric Hansen.
Yeah.
Now, you guys have stopped doing that?
Oh, no, we still do it all the
you?
time. Dark Tower Entertainment. Yeah,
Nice.
absolutely, yeah.
Now, tell us a little bit about Dark Side Entertainment.
Well, it's Dark Tower Entertainment.
I'm sorry, Dark Tower.
Yeah, Dark Tower Entertainment. It's an entertainment company. And, you know, and I'm doing my own thing. He's doing his own thing. But when we did stuff before, it was celebrity, you know, booking and management and stuff like that. And we got to book celebrities. I was over here at the Amber Room in Nashua at Flavor Flav. Wow. And I'm going, and Flavor passed the mic to me. And, I mean, so many great experiences, man. We were booking 12-pack when he was on the Rock of Love or the Flavor of Love, whatever the hell it was called, you know, some of these reality shows. But it really was an incredible thing to leave wrestling, go to celebrity booking, and doing stuff. Got to hang out with Screech from Saved by the Bell, man. Got picked him up at Logan Airport. Went to a strip club. You know, can I say that on Nashua?
Yeah,
I already did that. You know, hey, it wasn't my idea, all right? I mean, and they told me I was in the passenger seat. It wasn't my idea, all right? I mean, so I mean, we were saved by the Screech, you know. So many great things with that, man. But let's talk about what's going on, man. What do we got? What's on the list? What's on the hit list?
Well, I'd like to do a lot of talking about wrestling.
Okay.
Some
wrestling.
Some wrestling. Well, how old were you when you discovered professional wrestling?
Man, that's a good question, man. I got to be like 5, 6, 7, 8. I remember when my brothers came home and got the first wrestling dolls. It was Andre and Hogan, and then Snooker, and those were the big rubber ones.
Yeah.
We were watching in '85 when it was Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling. Right. And then like '86, '87, my best friend was like getting all the magazines, and he was watching it every week, and I became more addicted to it. He was watching the NWA, and then it became an addiction. I'm like, whoa, man, and then it was, you know, it became more and more powerful. And then now, you know, you could get a wrestling magazine for like $2.50. Yeah. So for $10, you can get like 6 of them. Wow, man. And the cool thing now is that all the stuff that we read in the 80s is now on YouTube.
Right.
So it's almost like taking a history lesson, going back in time, and watching all this stuff from the AWA, the stuff I read about in the UWF with Bill Watts. We couldn't watch it.
Right.
There wasn't YouTube in '86 and '87, you know, and watch Junkyard Dog and Roddy Piper and Mid-Atlantic and NWA, and I mean, so I'm going to say about 5 years. 85 goes back.
I've been a fan since I was 7 years old. 1972. I'll never forget the first wrestler I saw was Chief Jay Strongbow.
Yeah.
And I was mesmerized.
Yeah.
You know, George the Animal Steel. Guys that drew me to wrestling were guys. I've said this on the show before. Were guys that I couldn't see on the street. You know, you wouldn't see a guy dressed as an Indian like that walking down downtown Lowell.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, we're talking about Lowell.
Well, you saw Ding Ding and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, Tommy Ellis. But you know what I mean? And the George the Animal Steels, the Missing Links, and so on. Well, Missing Link came later. But as you were talking about how we weren't able to see wrestling, I remember the very first other show that I got to see on local television around here was the IWA. Pedro Martinez started a promotion out of New York, and he put the strap on Mil Mascaras. And I was blown away. It had the Love Brothers, Ernie Ladd, Tex McKenzie, who else there? The Mongols, and just so many from George Crybaby Cannon. And I had already been buying the magazines. Like you said, you could buy a magazine back in the day when it was $2.50. I have magazines at home that I bought for 50 cents.
Right.
You know, back in the 70s.
Right.
But it just drew me to it. The crazy characters.
Yeah. Superstar Billy Graham.
Yes.
Now, since you watched it and you ever Superstar Billy Graham, how many guys have you seen? Now, I didn't know because in like 1998 or something, like I didn't watch Superstar Billy Graham because the YouTube wasn't out. So I didn't know that Hogan was a major representation. He was very big. He was like Superstar Billy Graham. A lot of his, the blonde hair, the Fu Manchu, the way he was talking in the beginning. Jesse Ventura even said, I can do Billy Graham better than Billy Graham.
Right.
One of the things that brought him in because he was in the Billy Graham. Big Papa Pump.
Yeah.
30 years later, he starts looking like Billy Graham. So that's pretty wild, man. That's pretty wild how Billy Graham was the first jive talking. Whoa, look at the 24-inch biceps, brother. As the glisten in the jet missiles and the... Right. So.
lifting
the big bad booty daddy, you know?
lifting barbell plates, eating T-bone steaks.
There you go. I slept in diners and kings and queens and ate with alleyways and porks and beans.
And another guy that took a lot of Billy Graham's was Austin Idol.
Yeah.
Another guy who I became a fan of. And it was funny because back in the day, before he had that plane crash, he was known as Iron Mike McCord in the WWE, and I liked him. Then he disappeared. And then all of a sudden, Austin Idol comes up. You know, I'm reading him in the magazines, and I liked him. Took me about 15 years to figure out they were the same guy.
Wow.
They were the same guy.
Right.
You know, Mike McCord was a lot thicker.
Yeah.
Dark hair, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, Austin Idol's like really trimmed, jacked in shape, blonde, flowing blonde locks, you know? And he took a lot of Billy Graham stuff. He took a lot from a lot of the people, as most wrestlers do.
Yeah.
You know? I remember after that on USA Network, Southwest Championship Wrestling came on.
Yeah.
Joe Blanchard's promotion with Tully. First time I ever saw Gino Hernandez, you know? You know, Tully Blanchard, Big Bob Sweetan, and so on. They just... And then from there, went to World Class, came on. And then TBS with the NWA World Championship Wrestling.
Saturday nights at 6:05. Saturday nights at 6:05. So I'm 16 years old. You know, I want to go hang out with the guys, you know what I mean? I have a couple of beers. But I couldn't leave the house until 8:05.
Yeah, me too.
You don't understand. The party don't start until I walk in 8:05. I have to watch 2 hours of WTBS, Jim Ross and Paulie Dangerously, or Jim Ross and Jim Cornette. I mean, WTBS is 6:05, the Superstation. That was so awesome. And then you would get, you know, Saturday mornings. How much wrestling was on Saturday mornings? 9 o'clock. You had ICW, you had Superstars, you had Challenge, you had NWA, the Power Hour. Then you had WCW Saturday night. The next morning, you had we had WCW Main Event.
Yep.
So that was on Sunday nights at 6:05.
Right.
They might do it. They might do something on Saturday, and you carry over to Sunday.
Right.
You're gonna watch the rest of the match tomorrow night on the Main Event. I mean, the way the booking was, the way it was so incredible. Running of the Gauntlet. They used to have the TV title.
Yes.
And what they would do is, you know, the Running of the Gauntlet. They would have. They would do it at the Power Hour. So you'd watch the first match. Saturday night would be the second, and then Main Event would be the third. And we'll see if the guy can go through the gauntlet. And it was really cool stuff like that, man. The booking was just incredible.
The wrestling back then was just amazing. And I still, I obviously doing the show, I still love wrestling. It's just not the same.
No,
it's really,
it's
really
not the same.
the same.
It's not the same. These are 25-year-old kids that are coming out here now. Number one, I mean, they don't know how to talk on the microphone, and I'm being honest with that. And everybody's like, "Oh, Seth Rollins and next Shawn Michaels." I don't think, you know, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. They've been in there 3 years, and they're giving the belt like they're Goldberg. I mean, and I was saying to my brother the other day, look at Cody Rhodes. He's been in there 10, 15 years. Why isn't Cody Rhodes the world heavyweight champion? Look what everything Cody's been through. Intercontinental champion, tag team champion. What about that's what wrestling used to be? You used to see a guy for 10 years, he'd get this belt, and it would build up gradually. Now they're just throwing the belt at these guys. Vince McMahon is 70 years old. He's out of touch. He doesn't like some of these NXT guys that Triple H are bringing up, and they're getting deep pushed right away. Look at Tyler Breeze. What was up with that? You know, the way, you know, Kevin Owens, I mean, you know, I liked him in the beginning. I liked the John Cena thing, but Kevin Owens isn't great on the microphone. He does, maybe comes off as you know, I don't really, you know, I like him, not bad, but these guys, we're talking the Attitude Era. We're talking Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage and the Ultimate Warrior doing promos. We're talking Demolition. Then we're talking the Attitude Era of The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin. We're talking Mankind and Cactus Jack. And now John Cena comes out telling stupid 10-year-old jokes. And Randy Orton. I mean, these guys are great athletes, but the charisma, the character, the stories are not there. They're not there. That what sold me on when we got to the Boston Garden, Hulk Hogan's music hits, the whole arena, just roof came up. When it comes crashing down and it hurts inside. I mean, it was just, I mean, it was a magnet. You're not going to get that no more. You're not going to get that pop. You're not going to get that rush. They were doing some things pretty good. The Shield and the Wyatts.
I was just going to talk about the Shield.
That was good building.
That was good stuff.
Undertaker, Brock Lesnar. The streak shocked everybody, you know?
Oh, totally.
And then a couple of years now, we sit there and we got to go, you know, but when I was, Derek Dukes, who's on the show, was in my house. We were watching it. He was at my house. We're watching the pay-per-view. And I said to them, I go, it's becoming too predictable. You know the Undertaker's going to win. Right. And it's not that I wanted him to lose. I don't think anybody wanted him to lose, but it's too predictable.
Right.
We're going on, 23 years?
Yeah.
You got to do something. And I think a couple of years later, we know, you know what, it's all right if the streak ended. Brock Lesnar. And Brock stayed in there longer, and Brock is the man that looks more. How could you beat Brock Lesnar?
Right.
You know what I mean?
It was the only guy really to pull that off. If they were going to do that, like they did, Brock was the only guy that was kind of believable
Yes.
that could actually do it, you know?
Yeah.
I was a big fan of the Shield. Most people really thought, well, WWE people really thought Roman was going to be the guy to be the star out of all three of them. And it was kind of, and then they thought maybe Ambrose and Rollins would be the guy that would be the third, highest guy. And they turned around and Rollins just skyrocketed up.
I mean, Rollins is a great worker, but look at the last 3 Royal Rumbles. Batista wins. Right. Everybody's like, Batista. Then Roman Reigns wins. Boo. And then Triple H, the general manager.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Those are the last 3 Rumbles that have just
been horrible.
Horrible.
I mean, a lot of people were saying that this Rumble match itself was good through the whole thing, and it was pretty good, but the ending.
Horrible.
Once Triple H came in, you knew he was winning.
Yeah.
Like you said,
Yeah.
so predictable.
Yeah.
All right, let's, I want to talk, before we get into the Fastlane pay-per-view and stuff that's coming up, I'd like to talk about NXT.
Okay.
You had brought up, that Vince isn't too high on some of these guys being called up.
Yeah.
I want to go back to when they had that title tournament.
Yeah.
And they didn't bring up guys. There was a perfect opportunity to bring up a couple guys from NXT. There was a perfect opportunity to bring Samoa Joe up to the main roster.
Right.
Push him as a monster.
Yeah.
Win a couple things. And okay, fine. So maybe you didn't want him to win the championship. He could have got to the finals and put on a hell of a match.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Samoa Joe, and I'm waiting for them to pull the trigger and bring him up permanently.
I'll tell you what the problem is. Right now. And the problem is Triple H is trying to build NXT as another entity traveling around the world. Now, if NXT was just in Orlando and just taped it on a Wednesday night or something, they'll be okay. But now he needs talent to go to all these different towns as NXT, while WWE is over here and they're suffering in the ratings. They need Samoa Joe. Right. They need Finn Balor. They need Enzo and Big Cass. They need these talents. The ratings are suffering. SmackDown, we need to take these guys, put them on the main shows, but they're not going to do that right away because now he's trying to take these guys and go off all around with Austin Aries. Didn't he just come in here? So Austin Aries would be awesome on Monday Night Raw. Yes. The only thing we got new on Monday Night Raw are AJ Styles and the Dudley Boys. And the Dudleys transition, it's cool that they're here now, but you need to do, what happened to the Bullet Club? When are they going to debut? That's the problem with NXT. He shouldn't try to travel everywhere with them right now. He's trying to make that separate, but if Triple H is working on NXT and Vince McMahon's stuck in his ways over here, how are the fans going to win in the middle? And I just don't think I think there's a major power struggle. I think Vince has become more, my way or the highway, the last 3 years. And I think it's shown in the pay-per-views, in the Rumble. I think all he cares is about the Wyatts and the Shield. Ambrose, Reigns. Now, Ambrose is great. I think Ambrose has the most luck of already building up because he's IC champion, US champion. People are getting behind him. His character's better off on Reigns on television. And not that Reigns is not great. It's not that Reigns don't have the Superman puncher, but the people ain't buying it yet because you're forcing them down our throat too quickly. We're used to guys working 10 years before they get the belt. Right. We're used to guys becoming IC champion, tag team champion, US champion, not just, now it's a different era, Bob. These guys are 25 years old, they're gonna get the world title, it's gonna go another 25-year-old, and I just think it's a weird deal that's going on right now. It's not like it used to be.
I watched Monday Night Raw just yesterday, and I DVR'd on Monday nights. I worked through, I worked third shift and stuff, but I was watching Reigns in the ring with Stephanie, and he hasn't, his promos, he's not the greatest talker. He has no, he just stands still, he's stoic, and he just, there's no you know what I mean?
There's nothing.
He should have, to me, should have been pacing the ring as he's talking to Stephanie, like a caged animal. Or
Ambrose
something.
a little bit does that.
Yeah, he doesn't do. He just stands there and he, no facial expressions.
There's nothing.
This biggest facial expression will be like, what the heck is that?
They're not teaching them anything on NXT. No. I don't think NXT is successful. Adam Rose, I mean, what kind of gimmick is that? And now I just don't think that they put things in the way that. These guys are getting called up, and it's not the same. But they don't know how to do promos no more. You got some of the best guys from the '80s now working at the Performance Center. They can't teach these guys how to talk.
Right.
None of these guys know how to talk. Yeah. Chris Jericho comes back. Look at The Rock. How many movies has he comes back on Monday Night Raw, grabs the microphone, and he's the best on the mic out of anybody and the entire company. Right. The entire company. One man who's not even there every week. Right. Why is The Rock that good? Because The Rock sat down and said, I'm going to refer to myself in the third person. I'm going to have some catchphrases. It doesn't matter. He learned how to take this thing and make it, and he doesn't do every catchphrase every time. Right. He keeps them in the back, but he gets you, and he's The Rock, man.
Right.
And these guys, Stone Cold and The Rock, they took their character and they perfected. Vince Russo, I think, was a big part of the Attitude Era.
Right. Oh, definitely.
I mean, Russo did a lot of bad things in WCW. In WWE, I think he did a lot of great things.
Oh, definitely did a lot of great things.
Yeah.
The women's division in NXT
Yep.
alone.
Yep.
I see a lot of really up and comers. You know, I see like personally, my favorite right now is Asuka. Mm-hmm. I just love even just the little look she gives girls and the smiles.
Who's Asuka?
Asuka's the Oriental girl. That
okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
She's just phenomenal. And even when it comes down to Emma and Dana Brooke, they're not bad. I mean, thank God she gave that up. Thank God there's no more of that. Yeah, exactly. But Dana Brooke, she's a pretty good heel. You know, they got a lot to learn. They're very young in the game. But Nia Jax, speaking of The Rock's cousin, she's a monster. I mean, have you seen her work?
I've seen her with Eva Marie.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, nothing for nothing. Eva Marie is beautiful, but the fans hate her. And I mean, it's not good heat either.
Yeah.
It's not good heat.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, Total Divas doesn't help. I mean, look at the way they portray her on television. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, that's how she really is, though. It looks to me. She doesn't really. She didn't want to be a wrestling star. She wanted to be a TV star.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Yeah.
You know. But she's definitely a smart.
I mean, I bet you she doesn't know anything about 1987. I bet you if you got Eva Marie in a room and asked her about Brutus Beefcake feuding with Outlaw Ron Bass or the Macho King, who did Macho King win the crown from? I mean, these are things you need to know if you want to work for WWE. You know what I mean? So I mean, you know, and I want to get back to something you said about the woman. And I said to my brother not too long ago about the Divas Revolution.
Yes.
And I mentioned you talked about Sasha Banks on your show before.
Yeah.
When they were doing the Divas Revolution, they're like, okay, we're going to have 3 women, 3 teams against each other. Team Bad, PCB, and the Bella Army. Yeah. Okay, they all came out, they did it, the Divas Revolution, and what happened? Everybody started chanting, Sasha, Sasha, and what happened? That storyline is gone.
Right.
It seems to me that Nikki Bella went to John Cena, that went to Vince McMahon and said, they're saying, and they broke that entire storyline, the Divas Revolution, and now it's Charlotte and Nikki. Everybody skipped this. Team Bad doesn't come out no more. And it took them months, and now they broke up. PCB broke up. They just dissolved that. How did they go? You know what I mean? The proof is in the pudding.
Right.
You could see it on television. This is what happened.
Right.
Once this girl got over, the old dogs, the old guards didn't like it.
Right.
They protested, and now everybody got depushed. These NXT people are coming in. Tyler Breeze, man, he's getting jobbed out. What's the deal of putting somebody? You need to bring these guys up. Zack Ryder should be getting over. Everybody should be getting over. So when you throw them against each other, you don't know who's going to win.
Right. Yeah, like you said earlier, very predictable.
Yeah.
You know, and Zack is over.
Yeah.
Zack's been over for a while, and like you said, it seems like they push a guy, they pull him back. Kevin Owens, against John Cena, he wins. You know what I mean? He loses. Then he loses 2 weeks in a row to Dolph Ziggler. You want to build stars? They need to win.
Yeah.
Win, and I understand wrestling is predetermined and all that. But it's entertainment. But if you want to build stars, you can't have them winning on Raw, losing on SmackDown, losing on Raw, winning on SmackDown. You can't have that.
Right.
You know, you need to build a star up. He needs to be a monster. He needs to win.
Remember what's happened about 2 or 3 years ago? They were, I don't know if it's still done. They would have champions fight non-title matches and get pinned in 5 minutes.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I was watching this, and we're like, he's the champion, and he gets pinned in 5, 10 minutes. And he doesn't lose the belt when he gets pinned. This wasn't like this 20 years ago.
Right.
Why is the champion getting pinned?
Right.
So you can build it up to a rematch. And you're right. The mega matches are happening every week. Yeah. The pay-per-views are suffering because now Raw is 3 hours. And it's not, you know what I mean? You were there during the Raw and Nitro, you know, and some of these fans that grew up are never going to know what that's about. They're never going to know what it was like when we had to put 2 TVs right there and how incredible the Monday Night Wars were. It was the greatest time to be a pro wrestling fan. It's the greatest time in the world. The Monday Night Wars were awesome. The NWO, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Mankind, you can't beat that.
No, that was, I doubt that wrestling will ever reach that heights again.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'd like it to. Hopefully someday maybe it will. Maybe, you know, but we need stars. You need to build the stars to do that. And you're not going to build stars by, like I said, winning and losing, winning and losing, winning and losing.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes they bring up guys too quick. Like, look at the Ascension, for instance.
Yes. That's a great example.
You know?
Look what happened to the Ascension.
Yeah.
They brought them in like these big road warrior guys, and they They job them out. I think it's great with Stardust and make the Cosmic Wasteland, but they've done nothing with them.
Right.
Why would you do that to the Ascension? The Ascension was the #1 team in NXT.
Yeah.
They were the champions. They were undefeated. You come there and bang, you're jobbing them out. It's obviously Vince is not feeling. If you read about it and you're saying he doesn't feel about well, then why are you bringing them up?
Exactly.
If you're not feeling it,
Yep.
and now NXT is going to keep them there, and now we're not going to get Samoa Joe until next month, or maybe it's going to get pushed back more. Now they're saying the day after WrestleMania,
Yeah.
but it should be John Cena versus Samoa Joe at WrestleMania.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Let's do something that hasn't been seen before. But it's definitely the NXT Vince. There's something going on, man, that's not working out. And he's not liking, he loves Bray Wyatt. Look at that shoot interview they did with Stone Cold in the Stone Cold podcast.
Yes.
Where he talked about breaking the glass ceiling. And Stone Cold goes, Vince, what did you think about Monday Night Raw? And he goes, I think it was good. Bray had a good match. All he talked about was Bray Wyatt.
Right.
And it's great. Bray's the best guy in the mic.
Right.
But you need everybody to be like Bray in the New Day.
Yeah.
The New Day are like DX.
Yeah.
They're giving the mic time. Remember they had the little vignettes in the boxes?
Yep.
And guys would talk. They need to talk more. They need to have more character. They said that Roman Reigns was going to coaching school to learn how to be a better actor on the microphone. He shouldn't have main evented WrestleMania against Brock Lesnar.
Right.
Roman Reigns wasn't even over.
Right.
That was a horrible main event. Then Seth Rollins comes down and cashes in. The WWE has made no sense in the last 3 years. Daniel Bryan wins WrestleMania 30. He was only thrown in there because CM Punk left. You know?
Punk. Yeah.
Punk. What's going to happen with CM? If he came back, the place would blow the roof off. But it ain't
Oh,
gonna
absolutely, it ain't gonna happen. He's happy, I guess, to try to do MMA. He got to cancel his fight against. Now here's a guy that knew he was having a fight, right? And then all of a sudden he needs. After the fight
Who quits
gets set,
WWE?
Yeah.
They get hit in the face for real.
yeah, besides Brock,
Brock, I mean, he's a monster.
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Punk. I mean, he already canceled his fight. He has to have back surgery.
Wow.
So I mean, here's a guy who's already been waiting over a year to make his UFC debut. Now it's put off for at least probably another year.
He's sitting at home right now.
Yeah.
He's probably saved his money. I
Oh
think
yeah.
Paulie
Oh yeah.
said
He's
it.
very frugal.
So that's why he's like, I'm out of here.
yeah.
But that money's going to run out.
Oh, absolutely.
It's going to run out,
Yeah.
and he's going to sit there and start thinking of different things.
Right.
I think he's like, you know what? You guys won't let me do this. You won't let me do that. My back hurts. I don't need you no more. He's got a big house in Chicago. It's already paid for. He's got his. What is he going to do every day? It's going to run out sooner or later.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, I listen to Colt Cabana's podcast all
yeah,
the time, The Art of
yeah,
Wrestling, and
yeah.
I guess Punk is writing for comic books now.
Okay.
So, I mean, he does have some type of income coming in. Would I love to see Punk come back to wrestling? Yeah. I'm a fan of his work, but as a person, catering those Ring of Honor shows, not the nicest of guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I have probably 15 to 20 pictures of him with people from, that I did catering with, and only one picture is he actually really being nice about it. It was the very first picture I took. Me, him, and my son, Michael, and he's like this, and he's got the look on his face. Everything else is, now you're taking the picture, he's looking over here. He's looking down. He's got a look on his face. Just a baby, you know what I mean?
And this is before he made it, yeah.
Yeah.
You can't have that attitude.
Right, and while all these other guys were there, like for instance, Daniel Bryan, who just had to retire, which is really sad, because he's one of the greatest workers and one of the nicest guys. He's the type of guy you'd ask him for a picture. Yeah, absolutely, smiling, being, can I sign that for you? He's a vegan, so when I would do the catering, he would just have salad, but he would eat, and afterwards he'd come up and he would thank me. Like, hey, thanks a lot, that was so good. It was just a salad, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he just, like, the type of person he was. He would acknowledge, if you were there with me and you said hi, he'd be, hi, how are you, shake your hand, take a picture.
Yeah.
A Punk on the other hand was always with an attitude,
Yeah.
How
about Teddy Hart?
Teddy's a fruitcake.
I mean, man, we got to hang out a lot of those guys, man. It was so great, man. And I remember at the Jersey All Pro, I interviewed Rhino, and we had Ref Hansen. I think you still go to the Red Sox.
Oh, yeah. I go to Sox Bruins games with me and Hansen, good friends.
Oh, my God, man. Jeez, those guys, man. And the Jersey All Pro was so awesome. Teddy Hart, Rhino. I mean, so many great things.
Homicide.
Man. Homicide.
Matt Hardy was there, too.
Yeah.
Matt Hardy.
Yeah.
There's this low key.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
That was pretty sad about Fat Frank passing away.
I met. You're right.
Frank was a
that's
great
how we
guy.
met him.
Yeah, that's how we met him.
Right,
That's how I got to do those shows.
Right.
I got it through Hanson, who
Right.
hooked me up with Frank and Pierre.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty sad. They put on a hell of a show a tribute show to Frank.
Yeah.
And it was like I haven't, I wasn't there.
Is it probably on YouTube or something?
Probably.
maybe?
I'm sure. I'm going to try to buy the DVD.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dan Moff was on the show, Steve Mack, you know,
right.
which they finally put them back together. They're
Yeah,
back together as the hit squad.
Right, I remember hearing. Yeah, I know the whole
Great.
story.
They actually were just in Massachusetts
Wow.
in January. I think it was
Yeah.
the 26th for the Beyond Wrestling
Oh,
show.
okay, yep.
And they won a tournament just recently too, the Samoan Cup.
Right.
That
Right.
Alpha put on a
Yep.
big tournament.
Yep.
The Samoan Legacy Cup
Right.
or something like that.
Right.
But that was one of my favorite teams back, you know, in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
The Hit Squad.
Yeah.
Jersey All Pro was a company that I wanted to cater for because they had the great
Yeah.
wrestlers.
Yeah.
They had the great matches, even down to they had Jay Lethal.
Right.
The Ring of Honor World Champion now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He started out in Jersey All Pro. Azriel.
Right.
You know, who used to be what was he on Special K? Angel Dust.
Right.
Remember the Special K group
Yeah,
in Ring
yeah,
of Honor?
yeah.
But that's when wrestling, to me, besides after the Attitude Era, to me, 2002, 2004, the Indies were starting to really
Right.
come around.
Yep.
Like I said,
Yep.
Ring of Honor, Jersey All Pro, CZW, you know,
Yeah.
Trent Acid,
Right.
you know, who I got to know very well, you know, God rest his soul, you know, he passed away quite a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But those three companies back then
Yep.
were hot,
Right.
red hot.
Yep.
And luckily, I was able to cater for two of them. You know
Yep,
what I mean?
yeah,
I tried
absolutely.
to cater for. Remember when CZW came to Massachusetts?
I don't remember,
Yeah, they
no.
came a couple years
Oh,
ago.
okay.
I tried to cater that. They weren't interested.
Right.
And I really wanted them to succeed. I had a wedding that day, so I wasn't able to go. And I was really bummed because I guess they only drew like 50 people. And I was hoping any company that comes from somewhere else that
Yeah.
comes down here,
Yeah.
you want them to draw so
Right.
they can keep coming back.
Right.
I mean, with Ring of Honor, the first time they came in 2002 to Wakefield,
Yeah.
if they didn't draw that 400 people, you know, in a
Right.
building that only held about 400
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
they would have
Yeah.
never came back.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
Rob had set up something really special with that. Him and Doug
Yep.
and Gabe. You know? But enough about that old stuff now. I want to talk about Fastlane.
Yeah,
pay-per-view,
baby. That's what we're talking
WWE.
about, man.
Edge and Christian's gonna have an interview. What are they gonna
God.
call it? The Cut and Peep Show
total-
or something like that. Something,
The
right?
Peep and Tom Show.
Yeah,
Oh,
but they're gonna interview the New Day, and I'm
That's-
curious: is that gonna end up leading to a match? Is Edge gonna
That's
get
a good
back in
question.
the ring?
I don't think that's going to happen. Number one, I mean, they don't have any number one contenders for the New Day, which doesn't make any sense at all. You got the Usos now feuding with the Dudley Boys. Where are the Ascension in this? The Lucha Dragons, you put the U.S. belt on Kalisto. So now the Lucha Dragons are out of the tag team scene. It doesn't make no sense whatsoever. You got R-Truth trying to get, Goldust trying to get R-Truth to be his tag team partner. And I mean, the New Day don't have any affordable contenders now. And we're going to the WrestleMania. So, I mean, we got to figure this out, man. So that's going to be on the pre-show of Fastlane. And, you know, I think the New Day is really incredible. I always thought that Kofi Kingston would be great as a heel. I think he was in there 8 years as a babyface. I think he has a lot of potential, like The Rock. You got to give him the microphone, and I think I think all three of them are incredible. And more people need to get the TV time and interview time to get over like the New Day are getting over. Get these guys over. Roman Reigns is not over because you don't give him time to get over.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Well, Kofi, like you said, you know, has been a babyface the whole time in the WWE until now.
Boring. Not fun, not entertaining, but, you know, good worker.
First time I ever seen him, I'm probably you the same, was he was a heel around here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I
When
did
he
shows
was
with him, yeah.
Kofi Nashaha
Yeah.
Kingston.
Yeah.
And he played, what was that, like the Jamaican guy.
Yeah.
Phenomenal heel. I'll
Right.
never forget, like I'm sitting there I was selling my merchandise and he comes walking out and he just looks at me. You know, of course, I go to shows, you boo the bad guys, you cheer the good guys.
Yeah.
You know, you get the crowd going.
Yep.
And he just looked at me and said, shut your mouth and sell your tapes. And I'll never forget that. Just that little bit, it just great heel.
Yeah.
He was a great heel.
Right.
And like you were talking about how they're all good. Big E, Xavier's phenomenal on the microphone.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, they all can work the stick. They all can work the microphone. They all can work the ring. I wasn't a big fan of them at first. I thought they were being shoved down our throats, but once they finally clicked, they're very, very entertaining.
That right there is a testament of, okay, they're sitting in the car and they're thinking of ideas. That's when creative comes over to them and says, okay, now they got the trombone. Now they're interacting their words. And that's creative. That's the writer saying, okay, what can we do? I mean, and this should happen for everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, look at Jake Roberts, man. When you watch him, he looked like a snake, and his hair and his beard, he had a snake. And I mean, God, these guys in the 80s, man, they were so, the marketing was so genius behind their characters. The Ultimate Warrior, Jake Roberts, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, everything from the way they dressed, or their theme song, I mean, their finishers.
Larger than life.
It was incredible.
Larger than life, those guys back then. The U.S. title is going to be defended. Kalisto versus Alberto Del Rio.
2 out of 3 falls. I just watched SmackDown. They announced it. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Kalisto. I really like his work.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of Alberto.
Yeah.
They've had a few good matches recently.
Yeah.
What do you think? You think they're going to keep pushing Kalisto over ADR?
Well, number one, Kalisto, they seem a little confused what they're doing with him. I mean, obviously, he can be their next Rey Mysterio Jr., but he needs to get away from Sin Cara in order to do that. You need to give him microphone time. You need to build him as an individual. If you come up next week and throw him in with Sin Cara again, then, okay, they're the Lucha Dragons, or is he the U.S. champion? You can't just keep, you're going to build him. If you want to build him as the next Ray, then you can. But do it in a solid, have him have mic time. They don't do videos anymore. Show him back in his home in Mexico or something. Do a little thing on him or something. Try to get him over with the audience. But when throwing him in with Sin Cara again, I think he's a great worker. He's just another mask guy until that identity is given out more. You know what I mean? Because he's just another mask guy. Alberto Del Rio is probably one of the best workers in the entire company. His look, the way he does everything. He's probably going to be giving back the U.S. belt, so when John comes back, he can fight and try. Because John Cena, I will say, the best thing I've ever liked John Cena was the U.S. Open Challenge. I think that rebuilt his career. Yeah. He wasn't doing stupid interviews. He was coming out. You never knew who he was going to fight. Yeah. I think it was working. I think it's great. So,
it was working.
So my prediction is going to be ADR, 2 out of 3 falls, take back the U.S. belt. Kalisto, obviously, you're either going to launch him on or bring him back in the tag team. I don't think he's ready to be the single star. That's what it seems. So I hope ADR takes it. He's a stronger, more powerful heel. The League of Nations are not doing anything right now. They need to have some gold in the stable.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. I'm a huge fan of both wrestlers, but I've always loved ADR. We got the Wyatt family taking on who is it now?
Ryback, Big Show, and Kane.
Wow. Kane.
Doesn't make no sense. I mean, how long has Kane been feuding with the Wyatt family?
Right.
I mean, I think they're out of ideas a little bit. Big Show is now a babyface again for the 900th time. Ryback, who's already feuded with Bray Wyatt earlier in the year, it's just... I don't think they're stuck. No one want to do it with the Wyatts this month. They should have them fight these social outcasts. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Right.
I think no one, Vince McMahon, he's so big on building Bray Wyatt. I don't see the Wyatt family losing. I know he's really big on Braun Strowman right now, who's the greenest. He's greener than Kermit the Frog.
Right.
And he shouldn't even be. I mean, sometimes he looks clumsy. He still looks like that Rosebud with Adam Rose. You should put some eyeliner on him, look more vicious and a monster. I don't think they're doing, Braun needs to. He should have been in NXT.
Right.
For at least 6 months to a year.
Right.
They did none of that.
Yeah.
He came out dancing with Adam Rose. So I think the Wyatts are going over on that one. Yeah.
Now next we got Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch teaming up, taking on what was it? Naomi and Tamina.
Unity. I mean, I don't know what's going on here. You know what I mean? I got to say, Naomi is probably one of the best divas of all. She's an incredible worker.
Right.
She should be NXT champion. I mean, not NXT Divas champion. She's never won the belt yet. Natalia, I think, won a long time ago. Poor Natalia, they don't even give her anything lately.
No, it's sad. She
but
deserves it too.
Sasha Banks seems like this was a Triple H project, and it seems like the same thing. She came in, she got over. They pushed her down.
Right.
Took her off TV to the point that they're complaining about creative on their Twitter. They bring them back up on TV again. They break them off. They don't know what they're doing with her. But Becky Lynch, and it's something different.
Yeah.
So you got Becky Lynch and Sasha against Team Bad. And I guess Becky and Sasha would be the ones that probably go over in this one,
Yeah, I think they're definitely going to go over too. I like Becky Lynch. I really do. I think she's a pretty good worker. She's been around for a while. She used to work with Natalia out in Japan like 10 years ago when she first started.
Right.
So I think she's coming around. Sasha, obviously, local girl, gotta love her for that. You know what I mean? She's definitely gotten over. I mean, Tamina Snuka. No offense, Tamina, but I don't even know why you're still there. Seriously, I mean.
Yeah. Very expressionless. She comes out, she moves her eyes around, very expressionless. But good worker, the daughter of Jimmy Snuka. You can't doubt that she's a good worker, but she's very expressionless. She just Just doesn't do much on the mic.
Yeah, it doesn't do much for me.
Personality. They need to have charisma, man. What happened to the charisma, brother? You don't understand what we used to have. That's the problem. We're not complaining. But what you gave to us for 20, 30 years and you give us now, before was better than now. You know what I mean? And that's the problem. Now should be better than before. That's the problem. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
We got Chris Jericho taking on AJ Styles.
Yeah, okay. Now,
Looking
this is the
forward-
match of the night.
That's what I think.
This is really good. I like that the Miz was involved. That way they can both fight the Miz to kind of keep them away from each other until Fastlane, which is really good. And they should have did something. I just watched SmackDown. They had the Miz versus Chris Jericho. They should have called the Battle of the Talk Show host or something and maybe have like a mic in each corner and a stand because one has the highlight reel, one has Miz TV. They could have like a gimmick match with that. That would have been my idea. But I think the Jericho thing is really great. Now, every time Jericho's been coming back, he's been jobbing out. And you can't do that. You can't destroy the legacy of Chris Jericho. What's the point of bringing him back? He came back and he put over Fandango. Then they brought him in and I think he put over Bray Wyatt. Then he goes away, he comes back, and now if he puts over AJ, you're killing off Chris Jericho, and you can't do that. He's a special attraction right now. He's a special attraction superstar that comes on once in a while. You need to keep him hot in order for the feuds to work for who he's going up against. AJ Styles got his first pinfall loss. It should be against Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho's a great athlete. But I also think you should have made AJ undefeated for a while. You should have gave AJ Styles an undefeated streak. Because then you could be like, man, who's going to beat him next? You know what I mean? Maybe not the length of Goldberg, but at least until Mania or something. Who can beat AJ Styles? Maybe he is the phenomenal one. So that could have been a good twist there too. The rubber match should have been at WrestleMania. The only thing I can think is if Jericho beats him with his feet on the ropes, and then that could lead up to Mania, I think, who else could fight AJ fight at WrestleMania? We'll get into that WrestleMania predictions, but I think it could be Kevin Owens. But Jericho and Styles is a WrestleMania matchup. I don't, if AJ wins, where does it put Chris Jericho? If Jericho wins, you could probably go a little bit longer with it. So my prediction, I'm going with Y2J.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
We got the Intercontinental title. New champion Kevin Owens will be defending his title against Dolph Ziggler. Dolph has beaten Kevin a couple times in a row on television, on Raw. Would you like this match?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I do like Kevin Owens. I think he does. I like what they did in the beginning with him with the NXT thing and John Cena. That was really awesome, the way they brought him up. And then it seemed like he went down a couple of steps. He was like, what's going on? I thought we're pushing him. And then you brought him up again, and now he's already been an NXT champion, a U.S. champion, and two-time Intercontinental champion. So he's a very decorated superstar. No doubt about it. I mean, not the greatest on the mic skills, but look, Roman Reigns isn't either. You know what I mean? Dean Ambrose is all like Brian Pillman. I mean, we need this charisma stuff, man. I mean, that's where the New Day come in. But we're getting into, so what was the match again? I just lost.
Kevin Owens
versus Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler, we all know, was like Shawn Michaels. I mean, Dolph Ziggler is awesome. He's great. The fact that he's not pushed to the level that he should be, that he's not a world champion right now is definitely a shame. How could you get up every day and beat Dolph Ziggler and like, okay, I'm going to WWE, I'm going to have another match, another storyline, and it just keeps, where's the progression? There's no progression there with him. They just keep bringing him down to this level in these meaningless feuds, and I mean, I thought they were really going to build, last year, 2 years ago at Survivor Series, when he was the final guy that won the match. I thought they were finally doing something with him. Okay, that's when you now take that momentum. Now you repackage him and bring him back up again. They like to tear you down and bring you back up again. Dolph, I think Kevin Owens just won the belt. They're not going to make the belt switch that quickly again. It would make no sense. I'm going with KO for that one.
All right. The Divas title match. Brie Bella taking on Charlotte.
Yes!
Woo!
Yes! 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 I'm going to say number one about Daniel Bryan. I'm sorry that you retired, Daniel. You're a great athlete, and the concussion problem is very serious. You're going to understand this is a faster-paced wrestling right now than it was before. Brutus Beefcake is still wrestling because he would give the finisher the sleeper. I mean, the way the style was in the 80s, you could last longer. The way that you're doing with the head concussions and stuff like that, and what I just want to say about Daniel Bryan is that I hated that yes chant. I just think that he's so good. CM Punk even talked about it. It's just that you come out and just keep doing that, and it's just like, come on, dude, it's ridiculous. Like, he's better than that. We don't need to chant, but we're not getting into that. This is how I like to segue over to Brie Bella. We're talking about his wife. She said she's going to retire, and by so, because if she didn't retire, their marriage wouldn't last. I'm telling you right now. She's on the road. She's got guys hitting on her in the airport at wrestling. He's at home playing video games. It would not last. She has to retire because she can't be on the road 4 days a week. He's at home all week long. It's not going to work out. She had to retire, do the job. So Brie Bella's going to do the job.
Charlotte will retain the Divas
And
title.
I'm glad that the Nature Boys with Charlotte. That's a great rub. That's really great that Ric Flair can be influential and be in her corner because that really gives the rub of the flair. And just
Yeah, and I like how he's being a little low key, no pun intended, a little more low key than he usually is. He's letting his daughter get over, you know?
Yeah.
Which is nice to see, seriously,
Yeah.
because when I first seen them together, he kind of was being a little bit louder and more boastful and all that.
Right.
But he's kind of taking a step back a little bit, which is great to see Charlotte doing a lot more talking and everything.
That's what I did as a wrestling manager.
Right.
I would come out, hey, let me tell you something, blah, blah, and I was green. And what was happening was I was distracting myself from, the match. And I remember Randy Miller, who was one of the owners of Chaotic Wrestling, I think I emailed him of doing a show, and this is about 50 years ago. He goes, well, Bob, I think, you distract away from the match or something like that. And he wasn't being insulted, but he was telling me something very influential and very learning, and it's very good information that he told me. Everybody loved my gimmick. They weren't saying, dude, and somebody should say, hey, man, when you're doing all that screaming down there, it's okay once in a while to pop it out, but don't want them. I had one guy get in my face, and all the crowd was going, you're taking away from the match.
Right.
And you can't do that. You know what I mean? You can't take you need to get everybody looking at that match. Your job as the manager, keep it low key, get some heat, but heat for your guy. Everything has to be on them.
Yep.
They're in the ring, so
nice.
whatever, man.
Well, in the main event, we got Roman Reigns taking on Dean Ambrose and the Beast incarnate Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
I'm interested in this match a lot, basically for Ambrose and Lesnar. Again, Reigns just isn't doing it for me. I'd love to see Brock win the title, to be honest with you.
Me and you, Leo, are diehard fans, and it's very hard for us to be like, okay, Triple H has got this belt. He's not going to defend it until WrestleMania. He comes out wearing a suit. He doesn't even do any segments on the show. What kind of champion is this? What kind of main event are we getting this year in Dallas, Texas?
Right.
It's Brock versus Triple H. Okay, not bad. Ambrose probably has the more underdog story out of anybody, and if he won, okay, great. Somebody even suggested, I think it was Wade Keller, what if you have Ambrose versus Triple H, and Roman gets mad that Ambrose won and he challenges The Undertaker? I said, hey, that would be pretty cool. I would like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Is Ambrose ready to become world champion? Hey, I don't think Rollins and Reigns were, but this is a different world now.
Right.
Anybody can be the world champion. I mean, Bray Wyatt could be the world champion,
Right.
and that would make more sense because he's got an army, he's unstoppable, he's been over, he's been putting guys over, but he's also been getting over. So the main event of WrestleMania is going to be three choices. It's either going to be Roman Reigns versus Triple H, which has been the storyline building all year long, and usually WWE starts in the summer, and hey, this is what we're going with.
Yeah.
Ambrose versus Triple H, which maybe they took the belt off him, which the IC belt, which maybe they give you, or it's going to be Brock and Triple H, and so two part-timers going at it. That doesn't make a lot of sense, right? They're not even on the road all year long, so why would you have two part-timers? That just shows Vince McMahon doesn't care no more. You can bring in, Brock Lesnar's like a prize fighter. He's like Mike Tyson, I agree. But Triple H cannot sit at home too and have the belt. You can't. It doesn't work out, man. You need to have the guys that are on the road. Triple H, it should be Dolph Ziggler versus Dean Ambrose versus Roman Reigns or something. You should have the top guys that are on the road every week battling for the world title. Bray Wyatt, Kevin Owens, Dolph Ziggler, and Roman Reigns or something in fatal four-way. I don't know.
I got Lesnar winning this to going on to take on
I hope
Triple
he
H.
does. I love Dean Ambrose. He's not ready yet. Roman Reigns is getting pushed down our throat so much. And even said it at the end of WrestleMania, what if the crowd boos? Vince McMahon has to think about that.
Right.
If Roman Reigns holds up that world title in Dallas, Texas, people might not buy it.
Right.
They're not getting Roman over. The Rock even came out with him. That's the first time The Rock was booed.
Yeah.
The Rock is getting booed.
in a long time. Because remember, he was getting booed back
Did
then.
you listen to the interview?
Rocky die, Rocky die, and all that years ago, but
he turned that over.
Yeah,
Roman
he
Reigns
did.
should be
Yeah, he
talking. Roman Reigns is getting booed like Rocky Maivia. That's a great example right there. You just brought it up.
Yeah.
Roman should be talking The Rock how to get over.
Yeah,
And there's
absolutely.
ways to do it.
That's why I think now we're going to go into a little bit of predictions of what WrestleMania might look like. I think it's going to be Lesnar and Triple H. I think it's going to be Ambrose versus Reigns. Who does The Undertaker take on? I've heard a few different things. I've heard that Vince wanted him to take on Strong.
Yeah.
But Undertaker shot that down right away because he's not ready.
No.
He's not ready for that match. Undertaker's only got a few matches left. you know? And you can't put him in the ring against the guy that it's going to have a hard match with. He wants to have a good match. I'd love to see him take on Owens.
Yeah.
I think that would be a pretty good match. I've heard that most likely it might be John Cena. He's supposedly going to be able to come back before WrestleMania.
Right. Yep, I heard that.
Are they going to finally pull the trigger and turn Cena heel?
No, I don't think that will ever happen. That would be the greatest. That would be the greatest storyline, and because we would enjoy it so much, it ain't gonna happen.
Right.
You know, you watch John Cena in the beginning when he was rapping, he was awesome, and he was a hot heel.
Right.
You watch his feud with the Undertaker, he's in the graveyard, and the raps he did got himself over. Then when they made him a babyface, and went, man, now he's not even rapping no more. It's not coming off. I don't think, because of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, all of that, because he sells the merchandise, we would have heard it already. I would love the John Cena to be heel. They're already coming out booing him, but I think that's what Vince likes. Vince doesn't care if they're booing him.
Right.
He doesn't care.
Yeah.
If they're saying, we want Cena, Cena sucks. That's your top guy.
Right.
20 years ago, 30 years, he's never had one top guy where people say, he sucks. Right. Jake Roberts, Macho Man, Hogan, Rock, Mankind. Everybody got over because of the process that he did to get these guys up to the top. That process has now changed. These guys are not getting over the way they used to be, and that's the problem that we have today.
Right.
And NXT is hurting. They're not helping.
What do you think about and the Divas? I'd love to see like a triple threat. Seriously, I'd like to see Charlotte. Actually, a four-way: Charlotte, Paige, Becky Lynch, and Sasha. That would be my four if I was going to do a women's match. I've heard now they're thinking about doing 2 women's matches on WrestleMania.
What do you think?
One will be a 6-way, six-woman match.
What do you think would happen to the other divas in the locker room? If you take all those 4 girls you just mentioned,
Right.
Bella Twins, Alicia Fox, Natalia, they're all going to be like, what, really?
Right,
Remember
right.
the veterans?
Yeah.
There's going to be a power struggle politically there.
Right, right.
I would love to see it. You would do it. I don't know if Triple H has the power to get them on there.
Right.
I think the other ones will try to hold them down. I think the other divas have held down the Divas Revolution. I really think they're a big part of why we didn't see that 3-way. What about Paige? What have they done with her?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Summer
She
Rae
just
is
lost to Summer Rae.
Right, yeah. So they don't know what they're doing. It's not like it used to be.
Right.
It really, everybody's getting pinned on Monday nights and Tuesdays. The pinfall losses, the way the booking is, man. If you watch Sunday's main event, 1990, you know, Hulk Hogan's fighting Sergeant Slaughter. Paul Bearer wheels out the casket, opens up the casket, the Undertaker pops up.
Right.
Whoa, man. I mean, that's mind-blowing. That's what I want to see.
Right.
You know?
Well, looks like we're running out of time here.
Again? We're just getting started.
Oh, believe me, Bob, I'd love to have you on again. This was great. It's been a long time in the making. I've told you, I've wanted you on for a long time,
Thank
dude.
you so much.
We've
It's
been
been an
friends
honor.
for a while. I really respect your opinion on things.
Thank you.
I wish you continued success on the Bob Show.
Thank you very much. Same to you.
Thank you. I really enjoyed doing this, and you were the first person I thought of when I got got this opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, well, that's it from us from here. From Ringing All of the Sports, I'm Leo Connors. This is Bob McCarthy. Woo! We are out.
We'll see you at the matches, brother.
Peace.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.